Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. From amongst the well-known historians of Bilad al-Maghrib of Morocco is none other than Abdulwahid al-Marrakushi rahimahullah. Abdulwahid al-Marrakushi was born in the year 581 Hijri in the city of Marrakush, as is mentioned in his classical work al-Mujib fi talkhis akhbar al-Maghreb, in which he says, وَبِهَذِهِ الْمَدِينَةِ أَعْنِي مُرَّاكُشْ مَسْقَطُ رَأْسِي. And in this city of Marrakush, it is where I was born. Abdulwahid al-Marrakushi studied in the city of Fez, which was at that time a major center point of Islamic knowledge, as well as Bilad al-Andalus, the Iberian Peninsula. He says, ثُمَّ فَصَلْتُ عَنْهَا وَأَنَا بْنُ تِسْعَةِ أَعْوَامٍ إِلَى مَدِينَةِ Fez. And then I departed from Marrakush at the age of 9 to the city of Fez. فلم أزل بها إلى أن قرأت القرآن وجودته ورويته عن جماعة كانوا هنالك مبرزين في علم القرآن والنحو. And in the city of Fez, it is where he studied the Quran and its sciences as well as Arabic grammar. He then goes on to say, ثم عدت إلى مراكش, and then I returned to the city of Marrakush. فلم أزل مترددا بين هاتين المدينتين, and he would travel in between these two cities, Marrakush and Fez. After having completed his studies in Fez, he traveled to the Iberian Peninsula, Bilad al-Andalus. He says, ثم عبرت إلى جزيرة الأندلس فأدركت بها جماعة من الفضلاء من أهل كل شأن. And in Bilad al-Andalus, the Iberian Peninsula, it is where he came across many well-known, respectable and noble people, as well as the people of knowledge. Abdulwahid al-Marrakushi rahimahullah was well known for his Arabic literature and his poetry, as well as his kitab, his book, which he wrote in Tarikh, in history, which is known as al-Mujib fi talkhis akhbar al-Maghreb. This book is considered as a major reference point in the history of both al-Maghreb and Bilad al-Andalus. It offers a detailed account of the Islamic conquest of Bilad al-Andalus, as well as the dynasties which ruled both al-Maghreb and Bilad al-Andalus, which were Dawlatul Murabitin and Dawlatul Muwahhidin. He also goes into great detail regarding the kings, rulers, governors and poets. He speaks about Yusuf ibn Tashafin rahimahullah, Ali ibn Yusuf, as well as Muhammad ibn Tumart, who was the spiritual founder of Dawlatul Muwahhidin, as well as Abdul Mu'min ibn Ali and Abu Yusuf Yaqub al-Mansur rahimahullah. Abdulwahid al-Marrakushi lived during this period of time in al-Maghreb, and he came across many well-known notable figures of Dawlatul Muwahhidin. He is also very critical of Dawlatul Muwahhidin and makes mention of this in his kitab al-Mujib. This book was praised by many historians and scholars, such as the famous mu'arrikh of Bilad al-Maghrib and alim and faqih al-Sheikh Abdullah Gunnoon rahimahullah, in his book, in his classical work النبوغ المغربي في الأدب العربي, in which he says, فإن هذا الكتاب يعد من أوثق المصادر في تاريخ هذا العصر. He says rahimahullah that this book, and he's referring to al-Mu'jab, is considered as one of the most reliable and authentic reference points in history with regards to this particular time period. He then goes on to speak about Abdulwahid al-Marrakushi, and he says that he traveled to Egypt, and in Egypt it is where he wrote this book al-Mujib fi talkhis akhbar al-Maghreb. He says, وفيها ألف كتابه المعجب في تلخيص أخبار المغرب جمع فيه بين تاريخ الأندلس والمغرب السياسي والأدب من لدن فتح الأندلس. And in his book al-Mu'jab, he combined between the political history of both al-Maghrib as well as Bilad al-Andalus, beginning with the Islamic conquest of the Iberian Peninsula. For anyone who is interested in the history of al-Maghrib wal-Andalus, this is a book which I would highly recommend. It was written by a historian who lived during that time period, who is also very objective in his criticism of Dawlatul Muwahhidin, despite having met some of the well-known notable figures of that dynasty. He offers a very detailed account of the major events that took place, the wars, the battles, and so on and so forth. Barakallahu feekum wa jazakumullahu khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.